once voted sexiest man alive, married to Scarlett Johansson, and later to the lovely Blake Lively. Ryan Reynolds is the prime example of the Hollywood ladies' man. Now, as a Hollywood icon, I first thought Ryan Reynolds would have nothing in common with the rest of us, and that there's nothing we can learn from him. But after deep diving into the world of Ryan Reynolds, by the end of this video, you'll have 7 practical tips that you can use right now in your everyday life to improve your attraction score with women and likability with other people.
Let's f***ing go. Let's f***ing go.
Tip number 1, frame control for authenticity. Okay, something Ryan does really well is that he stays present with you even when other people are nervous around him. He makes it easier for them to be normal. Here's an example of when he was visiting Google.
Ryan, how excited are you for people to see this movie?
You can see the overreaction here in the facial expression of the interviewer. But what Ryan does really well is that he handles that nervousness. First, he looks away from the interviewer, taking pressure off of her. And second, while he's doing crowd work and talking to the audience, every once in a while, he will turn and look back at her to let her know that he's still present and paying attention, even though her reactions are exaggerated or becoming more fake. And he does this throughout the whole interview until the very end.
We're going to take audience questions in a moment if anyone wants to line up.
Thank God.
Notice how Ryan Reynolds tries to release the social tension by making a joke about something everyone is already thinking. But when she couldn't quite lay into the joke or just accept the fact that it was awkward, he then reinforces her by saying she's great 3 times.
No, I'm kidding. You've been doing great. You've been doing so great. You've been doing amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And he remembered her name.
And I'm out.
And a big hand for Dana. Please, come on. She's amazing. You've been doing amazing. Thank you very much. Right?
Thank you. Thank you.
I like this guy.
Now, you might be thinking, Giovanni, I'm not a famous rock star. People are not starstruck around me. People are not nervous around me. I'm just an average guy. That's cool. That's fine. I acknowledge your thoughts, but I invite you to think about this. What is the first principle of what he's doing?
Wait for it. Wait for it.
He's optimizing for authenticity.
Dairy. Legendary.
Well, here's one tip that I've personally used and I've taught many clients. It's called the magic pause and the hand in the candy jar technique. Okay, have you ever had a conversation with a coworker that kind of went nowhere? Bob comes into the office on Monday. Hey, Stanley, how's it going? Hey, Bob, how's the weather? Oh, the weather's good. How's the wife and kids? Oh, good. Yeah, they're in school. Good. Okay, good. Yeah, okay, cool. I'll see you later, Bob. Okay, bye. Fake conversation that a lot of people have at work.
Fake as hell.
A lot of talk, but getting nowhere.
You don't know me! You don't know!
This is where the magic pause becomes so powerful. Bob asks you, how's it going? Now the social pressure will force you to say, oh, it's going great, how are you, right?
Hey, how you doing? You're like, fine, how are you? And you're like, I don't even talk like that.
But instead, what you can do is take a slow, dominant pause. I'm doing pretty well. I had a great weekend. What about you, Bob? Okay, I'm taking my time.
If your face was a movie, it would be Green Lantern.
That's the best you got? Really? That's the best you got?
People put social pressure on you to be fake because they don't know how else to be. So you're taking that pause for real authenticity to happen. And then you follow it up with the magic cookie jar technique. Now imagine you're a little kid reaching into the cookie jar trying to get a piece of cookie or candy from the jar. So what you want to do when Bob asks you how was your weekend is pause and then mentally go into the cookie jar and try to reach for a cookie. And what you're doing is you're looking for something real to talk about. And sometimes there's no cookie in the jar and you come up empty and that's fine. But the idea is you reach in and you grab what's real in your heart and put it out there into a conversation. For example, how was your weekend, Giovanni? The weekend actually is my first time going to a comedy show and I thought I wouldn't like it, but it was actually quite good. And then I pause for a second and I wait for the other person to either relate to that or not. Now, people that are into comedy shows, they'll say, oh, that's really cool. Actually, I just saw this comedian, blah, blah, blah. People that are not into comedy shows will say, okay, that's cool. In which case, I know they don't know that much about it. I'll just move on to the next thing. A very common question I'll ask is, what about you? What's been the highlight of your weekend? So I associate positive memories that they have of the highlights to me asking the question. The comedy show or something I did that was real, when I reach in the cookie jar, I'm offering the cookie as a hook. Not everybody's going to be into comedy shows or not everybody's going to be into me going to salsa dancing on Sunday. But I'm just providing something real for my life to see if they connect. And even if they don't, people sense that you're being real. Not everybody will connect with your authentic interests. But the point is that it's real. Being authentic is the core pillar of all social interactions. Okay, that way the women you attract and the way you attract them is 100% congruent to who you are. If you want to learn more about that, check out this link right here and the links in the description. Tip number 2, always bring other people up. Ryan Reynolds always praises others and raises them up. Because of this, he doesn't make a lot of enemies and he makes other people feel good to be around him. Here's how he did it at Google.
Very nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I feel like I'm rubbing shoulders with real power. Here at Google. Love it.
Here's how he did it in a separate interview by paying respect to everyone involved in the project and paying respect to people that he looked up to that helped him on his journey.
We've figured out a way to do it that's Hugh Jackman approved and Kevin Feige approved, where we're completely protecting the legacy of Logan the way it was left off. We wouldn't mess with that. My entire life, I feel I've ached to work with Will Ferrell.
He's unbelievable, right? Isn't he fun?
Oh my God.
Here he is again at Google, always paying respect to people that helped him on the project, people that came before him.
Helen Mirren, amazing. Sandra Bullock is classy and fantastic as a human being can get. But I've been lucky. Mary Louise Parker is one that I think is really talented and super, super smart and cool.
An easy way you can do this in your life is to reward people for the behavior that you want.
But if you can single out something they did, if you're alert to that and you start fostering that around you, people just start doing more and more of it. And then you're just surrounded by that all the time.
If someone does something that benefits me, I'll say thank you for driving or thank you so much for cooking. If someone says congrats on your recent job promotion, I'll say thank you. I couldn't have done it without your team and your help. I always give other people praise even though they're praising me. One key way to get people to really like you is that whenever possible, talk about things you're working on in a way that's inclusive. Here's an example.
Today we're announcing something I'm super excited about. It's called the Group Effort Initiative. Now making a movie that, well, it's a group effort.
By being inclusive, you're bringing other people on your journey rather than taking all the credit and creating enemies. And this is something that Ryan excels at.
Never let anything happen to you, sugar bear.
This is one of those small tips that you think will make a difference. But what happens is that it accumulates over time. And over a period of 20 years in his career, he's made many, many allies and very little enemies. And this is one of his keys to success and to people liking him.
Ryan Reynolds is universally loved by almost everybody, but now he's getting one big compliment from someone nobody would expect, his ex-wife.
Tip number 3 is the humble attitude of achievements. Ryan Reynolds is extremely humble, and he does this in a few ways. One, he's great at talking about Hollywood's glitzy image in a realistic way. Here he is talking about the danger of doing stunts.
It's really making me rethink stunts. I've been doing action movies for 25 years. I've broken 12 bones. I just had a 7th surgery.
Here he is talking about his entrepreneur ventures. Instead of claiming credit for being smart or being tech savvy, he does it instead by saying this.
I wouldn't characterize myself as an entrepreneur. I would characterize myself as someone who has found a couple of different things in life that I believed in with every cell in my body, and this is one of them.
Which creates reactions like this. He has a few passions, he invested in them. That makes him one of the smartest actors out there. Acting income will come and go. Business ventures he can retire on and will pass on to his kids. And here he is talking about his younger years, talking about his journey in a way that shows most people that he was struggling too, and everybody can relate to the struggle.
There wasn't a single soul on earth who would recognize me from anything in the showbiz entertainment field that would make me a star. I wasn't a star. I was just a kid who occasionally worked in show business.
Most importantly, he slows down people's perception of the rags to riches story. By slowing the story down, he gets normal people to relate to him. Hey, I know what it feels like to be in a slow grind. I get that. I can relate to that. This guy was just like me.
I mean, I never imagined where I am today. I think I'd have to be kind of crazy to imagine that. But no, everything that happened to me is sort of in an aggregate kind of way. It was very sort of slow and steady. I'm grateful for that kind of momentum being very, very sort of snail's pace as opposed to like a rocket ship, because I've watched so many people in this industry come and go in various tragic ways.
And this is reflected in YouTube comments like this. Ryan is insightful, intelligent, funny, wickedly humorous, but definitely not just an actor caught up in ego. A father, a husband, relatable, and genuinely all-around nice person. Tip number 4 is using dark humor. Now, not everybody can use dark humor, and you don't have to use it to become attractive. And Ryan Reynolds has one distinct advantage. Because he's famous, people expect him to be dark in a certain way based on past behavior. We don't have that fame and that brand image. We can employ dark humor in these following ways. First, you can switch from a serious topic to something very exaggerated.
And it's actually, we're paying tribute to him. He was killed, he was struck by lightning, which is so just utterly crazy. Don't laugh. No, I'm kidding. They're all laughing about it now. It's fine.
Reynolds often does this when he talks about his wife.
I used to say to her, I would take a bullet for you. I could never love anything as much as I love you. I would say that to my wife. And then the second I looked in that baby's eyes, I knew in that exact moment that if we were ever under attack, I would use my wife as a human shield to protect that baby.
And his kids.
I have read you have two little girls at home.
Yeah.
I've read you don't want them to go into show business.
No, mostly because I'm against child abuse.
Now, why is this funny, and how do people not become depressed when he talks about it? Well, first, he doesn't get too dark. And second, it's the unexpected nature of it. He starts talking authentically, leading you down one direction. And you feel like he's about to tell you a heartwarming story about his family, his wife, his kids. And then, wait a minute, what's going on here? I know where this is going. Bam, surprise, totally different direction.
You know, the local newspaper was like, okay, guys, we have a semi-nude, vulnerable 3-year-old boy. The only thing that's going to make this better, let's let him know where he lives.
I've analyzed all of his dark humor jokes, and here are the 4 elements that I believe make up a good dark humor joke. Disclaimer, do not use these at work. You may want to practice these with just your close friends. Dark humor is a pretty complicated skill set that not everyone has, and it takes a while to develop. Element 1, it's unexpected. Here's an example. What's the difference between me and cancer? My dad didn't beat cancer. Element number 2, making light of a dark subject matter. Doctor, I have some good news and some bad news. Patient, what's the good news? Doctor, good news is you have 24 hours to live. Patient, what? Then what's the bad news? Doctor, I couldn't get in touch with you yesterday. Element number 3 is breaking social rules and breaking the boundaries of what you think is acceptable. Just enough to get by, because it's funny. Here's an example. These jokes in this video are so dark, they get shot by the police. Dark humor is kinda like a dead child and never gets old. And the 4th element is dark humor is like food. Not everyone gets it.
Right. You get it. Right now. What? Okay, I'll be back.
Okay, let's rein it back, alright? The last joke was actually a message. Dark humor is not for everybody. When practicing dark humor, it's important to know the cultural context, how far you can go outside the boundaries. And it's definitely something you don't want to try at work or just right off the bat. It takes a little bit of practice. You don't need dark humor to be charismatic, to attract women, or to be liked. But I had to cover it because this is one of the core pillars of Ryan Reynolds' charm. And he does it so masterfully, better than anyone else I've seen. Now, if you want something that's more simple, here's the next tip. And this next technique is so unexpected. You may think it only works for a celebrity, but it actually works if you just do this. Tip number 5, downplaying potential jealousy. Now, Ryan Reynolds does this by downplaying his accomplishments with truth and humor. Here's his wife talking about how they met. And note how different their story is compared to the normal falling in love Hollywood whirlwind romance.
But in everyday life, he is my friend first, and that's I think that's the secret to happiness.
When Blake and Ryan tell it in this way, most people can relate to that. There wasn't some magic or luck that happened. It happened very slowly, and they almost didn't want it to happen. And this struggle and this calmness of it over time creates relatability to the average person. On the subject of kids, being lovable but also trouble at times, here's how he does it.
11 years ago, I remember reading a Deadpool comic and feeling like this is a once-in-a-lifetime connection. And then a few years later, I met my wife, and I was like, oh, I guess a once-in-a-lifetime connection can happen twice. And then we had our children, and that's when I realized that I love gin.
And on the subject of his beautiful wife.
Ryan married a beautiful Blake, sexiest man in the world, all those things. And yet...
She is the sexiest man in the world. Yeah. My wife, Blake, who is sitting right there, who is everything to me. You are the best thing that has ever happened to me. Second only to this star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
And on the subject of Ryan Reynolds himself.
Blade played Hannibal King, Waiting, National Lampoon's Van Wilder, Green Lantern.
Sorry.
And is it something about the Canadian accent that makes you a really bad liar?
We're not good at lying or fighting, really. I mean, fighting
that's good.
It's so slappy and.
Here's a key lesson to reducing jealousy. Ryan Reynolds never ever makes fun of the person that he's talking to. He makes fun of something that they both can laugh at, the third party. Or he makes fun of something that other people can easily get jealous at. His good looks, his fame, his wife, his beautiful kids, his whole beautiful life. And he puts those down instead. Why? Because he understands that your audience is laughing with you, not at you. But When you have social value, when you already have the things that people want, even when they're laughing at you, they're doing so under his direction. It's his permission. He's saying, go ahead, laugh at me. I have a lot of value and I'm giving you value to spare. I'm allowing you to see the dark, uncomfortable, grimy parts of my life. And this is different than someone making fun of you and laughing at you because they're bullying you. He's deliberately opening up his life, making fun of it, and allowing the audience in and laughing with them. Okay, some real life examples, right? Somebody says, hey, Giovanni, or whoever you are, you're out with a cute girl. They say, hey man, cute date. Or, hey man, that's a nice girlfriend you got there. Now most guys, what do?
Oh yeah, cool, okay, whoa, hold on, hands off my girlfriend.
No, someone says nice girlfriend, I'll say, I know, she's so much cuter than me, right? So I'm putting myself down, and the other person now feels better because they complimented me, and I'm saying I'm pretty ugly compared to her. That kills the potential for jealousy to fester and grow. Let's say you get a new job, okay, you get a promotion. Most alpha guys in the States, right, people will say, hey, congratulations on the new promotion. And the United States version of the competitiveness is,
yeah, I got my whole team now, it's bigger, and I got a lot more managed, a lot more work. But yeah, thank you. You should see my new office and my new minions.
Now in Chinese culture, it's actually frowned upon to do that. So I actually like the Chinese version of this as it relates to how Ryan Reynolds does it. Hey, congrats on the new job promotion. In Chinese culture, most people will say, thank you so much. I couldn't have done it without my team, and I look forward to learning from everybody in this new position. They're giving value to other people. They're attributing their success to the team, and they're saying, because I'm in this new role now, I look forward to continuing learning from other people to best do my role. So it's a culture of giving value rather than taking value and competitiveness. Okay? It's a different form of competitiveness that is not so direct and so confrontational. Tip number 6 is the plot twist. Ryan Reynolds is a master of the plot twist in storytelling. Here's an example of how he does it with his kids.
My kids were with us, and Blake and I got to show them around and really let them immerse themselves in that culture a little bit. We left them there. So.
And he has this whole plot line where he's actually not married to Blake, and he has a secret family, and this is all for show.
You pull some of these shenanigans online when you get home. Does she pull you aside and she's like, hey, sweetie, that really wasn't that funny?
Well, I've never met her. We actually only exist as a couple online. Yeah. I'm actually married to a woman named Louise in Denmark. We have 4 kids, and it's been amazing.
It was a toss-up for a minute there. Should I quarantine with my publicly facing family or my secret family in Denmark? It was a real toss-up. I miss Luna Lerket and Un very much so.
Storytelling is a topic I can make a whole another video about, but what I wanted to convey is this. Interesting stories have plot twists. And if you learn to incorporate plot twists into your normal stories of your life, you'll start to attract more people.
My incredible wife, what's her name? Isla? I don't know. Still don't know. It's got so long into the relationship, it's embarrassing to ask. And
now here's an example of a plot twist with Master Frame Control by Mark Normand, okay? The subject matter is a little bit not PG-13, but check out how he does it. Really masterful.
Supporting prostitution? Yes, I've given them money for years. What the hell are you talking about? I don't think she's smart. Suck my dick. All right, well, that's sexual assault. You're promoting sexual assault.
Here's an example of a plot twist in my own life. A girl asked me, what's it like growing up with a diplomatic father? You must have been to a lot of countries. I'll say, yeah, we traveled a lot, but, traditional Chinese parent. I'll say, I'll get an A- in math, and I'll go back home. And my American friends will say, I got an A-. My parents bought me ice cream. I'll say, I got an A-, and my dad still beat me because I didn't get an A+.
Emotional damage.
And so white kids, they get a, free ice cream. I get a slipper in the face.
I will send you to Jesus.
I'm just kidding. My dad didn't actually beat me. He just grounded me for, getting an A-. Another line I'll use is, yeah, trust me, a Chinese kid growing up, you want to get beat. Because if you don't get beat, that means your parents gave up on you, okay? No, seriously though. Chinese families, they're big on education, and growing up was interesting. Okay, so I just used a joke, kind of a dark humor joke, and I brought it back to more of a normal conversation. Ryan Reynolds uses his voice at key moments to accentuate a joke or accentuate when he's being sarcastic and when he's being serious. Here's an example.
I take a crap load of pictures, but it's the digital age. So it's like, my dad took, hundreds of thousands of photos, but not of us.
Notice how he changes his voice inflection right when he's talking to the kid and right before a punchline or as the punchline.
Why do you swear so much?
Why do I swear so much? Braxton, when have you ever heard me swear? I never swear. Ever.
Notice how he accentuates his punchline right here.
Josh, what's your favorite color?
That's funny. Favorite color?
Mediocre? Do you know who does my stunts?
Who?
Tom Cruise.
So this is very simple to practice. I used to use a mirror and I'll say things with the voice inflection. For example, you guys should give a thumbs up and like this video and subscribe. If you're enjoying this video, you should like this video right now. And you may want to subscribe because the next video I'm going to put out is even more value than this one. Reversals. Some people have so much pure talent and charisma that you can never copy them. It is true that Ryan Reynolds is gifted genetically and in personality.
You did the voiceovers for some of the trailers. You did
I did.
the voiceover guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that stuff. I do it at home all the time. Drives my wife nuts. It's the, it's that voice that in a world divided by fear.
But I think he just started practicing his social skills early on. It's no secret that he had a troubled family history, especially with his father.
My brother said, you're gonna die. You're gonna show up at dinner tonight and Dad, there will be a messy stabbing death because Dad will take one of the utensils and stab you.
But check this out. Look at his first role here as an actor.
How's it going? Oh, not so bad. Actually, not so good.
I think the fact that he started early and the pressure of the dark family dynamic, it forced him to see the humor in everything. And because he started so early, he was able to develop that skill set to such a high level later on in life. Reversal number 2.
I have no value, Giovanni. This only works if you're famous. Your videos suck, bro. If you're not good looking, rich, or jacked, girls will never talk to you. So what's the point? Man.
Bro, it's not like you learned this one skill and all the girls come lining up to hook up with you, okay? Look at each of these techniques as a brick in a house. Brick by brick, over time, is how I built my skill set. I would go out one weekend, and this weekend, all I wanted to do was to compliment a girl in a genuine way so that she could smile. And I would try 10 times to compliment someone so I get a genuine smile from a girl. And that was my only goal, my only brick I was building that weekend. The next weekend, I may try to get to a point where the girl asks me a question back. Oh, okay, that's the next brick, okay? And I might not get it that weekend, but if I keep practicing 3 or 4 weekends later, oh, the girls are asking me questions back. Brick by brick, you're building a beautiful house. A house of strong foundations based on your social skills. And that's why when you focus on these little techniques I'm giving you, you learn to apply it in the right situations and you learn to strengthen those muscles. And over time, they become really, really strong. If you observe closely, here are just a few techniques that you can even spot yourself. Number 1, Reynolds always sympathizes with women.
I can't think of anything more threatening to send a woman than a picture of a penis. Like, in terms of like sexy, it's like just a rung below like a picture of yourself committing domestic terrorism.
Technique number 2, he shows vulnerability at the right times.
Celebrities always, you always cringe when they talk about their kids because they literally talk about like, my child is the only one who has ever exited a womb ever, and you're just like, well, so a lot of people have done this, really, so you always want to kind of temper it with a bit of self-effacement.
Technique number 3, he knows how to bring it back to a serious topic.
I never had a great relationship with my father. He died maybe 2 months ago, and James is actually named after him. My dad's name was James. But one of the great gifts he gave me was discipline, and he taught me to work so hard that it just, whatever you're aiming for, whatever goal you had, it'll come true, it'll materialize.
Let's take a first date as an example. To apply some of Ryan Reynolds' techniques, the girl shows up. The first thing I'll say is, wow, you are so not ugly today. I'm just kidding. Thank you for looking so good to meet me today. Appreciate it. Okay? The frame I'm setting here is that she's invested in looking good as effort to see me. Respecting women, I pull out the chair, I open the door for her, I don't talk about her or other people in a derogatory way. On the date, I can tell her a vulnerable story about my life. If she veers off into topics that are inauthentic, I can bring it back to authenticity by asking her. So, serious question. Of all the dates you had in the last 3 months, which one was your favorite and which one was your worst? And why? I'm bringing into the conversation the fact that we're both dating and maybe there's some fun stories from those dates. So, to recap, 7 floating tips from Ryan Reynolds. Tip number 1, always control the frame for authenticity. Tip number 2, always put other people up. Tip number 3, have a humble attitude of your achievements. Tip number 4, use dark humor. Tip number 5, downplay potential jealousy points. Tip number 6, the plot twist in your storytelling. And tip number 7, use your voice inflection. You can use all of these tips the next time you go out. And if you want very specific step-by-step instructions on how to do your online dating, your cold approaches, and your social circle building, you can check out my master course, The First Date Formula. And in that course, you'll learn everything you need to know about meeting, attracting, and dating the type of women that you really want. And if you want to see more flirting tips, check out the 7 masterful flirting tips by Craig Ferguson, the ultimate late night seduction host, right here. Enjoy.
Bye, Ray.
Bye, Yukio.